Good afternoon and welcome to PayEntry's weekly webinar. Today we're going to be talking about conducting effective virtual meetings. And I'm sure, like everyone else, we're all sick of virtual meetings. My name is Kathy Graham. I've spoken with a number of you, I'm sure. I'm head of the HR Services Department and here at PayEntry, and I am excited today to talk to you about something that we all do probably on a daily basis now. And that is conducting effective virtual meetings. Well, we're conducting virtual meetings, but are they effective? And that's what we want to look at today is how you can make them more effective. I want to make sure too that everyone can hear me. If you can't, please type into the chat or the questions block and I will make sure to stop and fix whatever is making the problem. And also to let you know there's a handout today. It is on your screen. It's a PDF of this presentation, and if you have any questions throughout the meeting, type it into the questions box and we'll address those at the end all at once. So first of all, why are we having virtual meetings? I think a lot of us know that it's because we've moved to more remote work due to COVID-19 and the increased need to meet even when we're not at work. We're at work, but we're in our houses. PayEntry is virtual, and we actually have been that way since March the 17th of 2020 and continue to be that way to make sure that our employees are working in the safest environment possible, and that's usually their home. The remote work, there were virtual meetings before COVID reared its ugly head, and that was for pretty much sales forces that did work on, you might have someone in California, someone in Pennsylvania, someone in Europe, and you want to get the sales team together or the team together, project team. And so everyone got on either Zoom or Teams or one of those many pieces of software or pieces of technology that allow us to do that kind of meeting. This has brought us all to a place where we need that same technology in order to keep the company's goals on track and to meet our deadlines. Because if we didn't meet, there would be no collaboration and no way except in emails or conversations by phone to do that. So this is a better way than picking up the phone or doing it in email. So virtual meetings are now a fundamental way of getting things done. It's a way of life for us. Many virtual meetings, though, are frustrating and ineffective for a lot of people on the call, and maybe for the company as a whole. With some thought and preparation in advance of the meeting, they can be made effective and efficient, though, and we're going to talk about some ways to do that today. So let's talk about some of the common problems with these virtual meetings. And by virtual meetings, I mean meetings that are held on the computer through Teams or Zoom or one of those pieces of technology that allow you to interface face to face by both voice and your face. In these meetings, there are a lot of distractions, and then working at home provides a lot of distractions for employers and employees. So that's just a given that there are going to be distractions. I shut my door so that you can't hear the dog barking downstairs or the birds chirping in the other room. So that helps a little bit. But even with that, if someone comes up and rings your doorbell or the phone rings, you also have those distractions. In addition to that, the background noise. Some people don't mute themselves when they're not talking, and that's fine as long as they don't have babies crying in the background, dogs barking, or things of that nature, because that is very distracting and can really ruin a good meeting. When we're conducting virtual meetings, we don't have, unless you have the video on, and then it is muted from a perspective of visually, there's no body language. So that means there's less emotion for building that memory in our minds, the ones who are watching. We put those together scientifically. We put together people's actions and what they're saying, and that creates a stronger memory going into the future. If you don't have that, there's a lot of memory loss about what was actually talked about in the session. Those actions that come out of a meeting, like one of these, are less likely to be completed. So assigned tasks, people forget. It's just not as effective as being in person for some reason. A lot of times the start of the meeting gets delayed because of technology or the fact that someone hasn't dialed in yet and you need them to be present. So that's another common problem. And then not knowing who else is going to be in the meeting and not having an agenda for the meeting um, are things that are missing. And it's distracting. And if someone shows up that you weren't aware was going to be there, it can throw you off your game. So those are some of the common problems. And again, lack of preparation for these meetings. We go into these meetings and whoever is leading the meeting, have they prepared for this? Have the people who are coming to the meeting prepared to talk about the subject? And then again, there's the inability to get a word in edgewise. There may be someone who monopolizes the conversation and and there may be people who are not really prone to speaking up in meetings, even if they had a chance to. This creates a lower level of collaboration. And as I just mentioned, because some team members hesitate to speak up, and those are people with good ideas potentially. So you're missing some of the conversation if you're not face to face in a room because you're not hearing from everyone around the table. Those introverts that don't want to speak up in a meeting, that feel like they'll say something stupid, are going to keep really quiet. And meetings can last too long. When they do, the levels of concentration in the room drop. That happens in face-to-face meetings too, but it's harder to look like you're not paying attention in a room full of people. So, but virtual meetings should not be lengthy meetings unless there's a real strong reason for that. So let's talk about how to conduct these meetings. Before the meeting starts, you need to make sure that everyone turns on their video. Unless you have 50 people and they can't all get on, that's not usually the case in a project meeting. There are normally enough people where everyone can see each other on the presentation or the discussion. So make sure everyone turns it on. If they don't, then request it, because it is a way to connect, and it humanizes the room so that you're not just talking into oblivion like I do on these webinars. You know, I used to do a lot of stand-up training in front of a room of people, and I felt a lot more that I could create a lot more engagement that way. It was really hard for me now in the role that I'm in to go to webinars because I can't see your faces and I don't know what you're thinking, and no one can raise their hand and ask a question for the most part. And so it's a lot different delivering information or having a meeting when you can't see other people's faces. The emotions and the reactions of people on the screen become visible to others, and that makes a difference. Again, before the meeting, prepare for the meeting. Pre-work has participants ready to think ahead about the content. If they're ready to talk about it, rather than just getting started, and by the time you're getting the meeting or the meeting is finishing, they're just warming up. So make sure that they know to come to meetings prepared. Make that clear. I'm sorry, make the following clear before and at the start of the meeting. Make sure they know the purpose of the meeting, the objectives that you need to achieve by the end of it. And one of the good things to do is create a slide deck or a short PowerPoint presentation to have up on the screen at a period of time what you're talking about. So visual aids are really important in virtual meetings because they do keep the attention of those who are present before the meeting. Again, I talked about virtual meetings need preparation. Make sure there's a timed agenda. When you start the meeting, say we have 30 minutes for this meeting, and here are the topics we're going to discuss. Make sure you have clear roles in your meeting. Who's the facilitator? Who's going to watch the time clock? And who is going to take notes? Those notes would include who's responsible for what after the meeting's over. So it's important to do that so that there's a clear understanding that you are going to send out follow-up emails about what was talked about in the meeting and who has responsibilities following the meeting. Give some ground rules. If they're in a noisy environment, they need to mute. They need to always keep their video on. And if it's a large group of people, a larger group of people that have not met before, or a group that doesn't work together every day, then have them say their name before they speak. Doesn't have to be their full name. Hi, I'm Doug. Hi, I'm Kathy. Or hi, this is Kathy. I'd like to state so and so. So it's important for people to know who's talking so that they can move their eyes to the person who's speaking. That's not always clear sometimes. And agree how actions will be communicated after the meeting. So action items after the meeting, are you going to send out emails? How will that be communicated? And let them know that you are going to follow that process because maybe they took a note of something they had to do, but it would be nice if they knew that you were going to follow up with that. And during the meeting, make sure you connect people. You know, I like to get onto a virtual meeting, a company virtual meeting, about 5 minutes ahead of time. And with the people that are um, already on, you can just do some chatting with them, like water cooler chat. And you may, as a facilitator, be able to create some of that activity. Throughout the meeting, make sure that you encourage collaborative problem solving. Ask somebody what they think when a question is asked if they're not speaking up. Give each person time on the agenda, and that means going around the screen, asking the people their thoughts so that everyone speaks. That fosters greater collaboration, and it does give the person who is shy about speaking up a requirement to do so. Again, set the pace and the standard for paying attention because of all the distractions that there are out there. Ban multitasking. You know, I notice on our company chats sometimes people are doing multiple things, and you can tell by the way that they're looking at another screen or looking down at their keyboard. But you need to ban that and stress that everybody needs to be mentally present in the meeting that you're in. Some ways to ensure that people aren't multitasking during the meetings. Number one, require the use of video. They can't get up and go get a cup of coffee because you see them walk away from the screen. They can't pick up the phone and start making a call if they're on mute because you can see them making a call. So require the use of video and have a meeting leader call on people during the meeting to share their thoughts. That keeps people on their toes if they think they might get called on. Assign different tasks in meeting and rotate those regularly so that people are, one week they're the facilitator, one week they're just, the task taker, and do it so that people get different responsibilities in different meetings. Tracking the action items with assignments and deadlines is very important, and taking meeting notes is very important. So there you could have a person in the meeting that's doing that. They're paying attention to what the action items are and who's responsible. Someone else might be taking meeting notes about the general conversation. So after your meeting is over, there's a tendency now to formalize what we call the water cooler discussion. And instead of people getting together later on Teams or email or whatever and discussing what happened at the meeting, spend 5 to 10 minutes at the end talking about what they disagreed with, what they're challenged by, what they didn't like, what they liked. Um, and if that is not appropriate in your company, then just make sure that everybody in the meeting provides feedback. The thing that you can do at the end is have somebody start a conversation about a topic that has nothing to do with work for 5 minutes and get employee feedback on that. A new benefit that you're offering now, or did everyone see the game this weekend? And who's your favorite team? That kind of thing, just so that people have some camaraderie on these calls. A lot of time we do that up front before the meetings start. So if you do these things and you put together these virtual meetings that are effective with no distractions and people communicating and collaborating, then there are going to be benefits to your company. The frustration among individuals about not having a voice and not knowing what's going on will be higher. I mean, sorry, lower. It's going to be lower frustration. The engagement's going to be higher because people do feel like their voice is being listened to. Collaboration is greater and goals are met or exceeded. So this is the benefit to your company. Bottom line is higher engagement, higher company goals met, and exceeding expectations of the company management. So I wondered if anyone has any questions today. You know, our webinars are always pretty brief. This one is one that I think that may not have a lot of questions, but if you want to type them into the question box, I can answer those. Give it just a minute. Remember, the handout is available in your the little box that is on your screen under handouts. And if you have any questions after the meeting about this or anything else, I am here to answer your questions. It's my job, and I love talking to clients. It doesn't matter what the subject is. If you need to talk about anything related to human resources, whether it be the Employee Retention Tax Credit or absenteeism or anything that relates to employee relations or managing people, please give me a call or shoot me an email. I'm happy to help. There are no questions today, so we're going to end the presentation and hope to see you next Thursday at the same time. Thanks for attending and have a great day.